What BS from your parents did you absolutely not tolerate? Story 1. I actually had a really great relationship with my parents. But my BF is a twin. An identical twin. And his twin is gay. Something he claims was pretty damn obvious from the time they were in elementary school. My BF and his twin were never really close, because they have very different personalities that constantly clash. But my BF suspected his twin was going to come out the summer before college. Their parents are fairly conservative Republican sorts. My BF is far from a bleeding heart. Liberal, but he says he sat his parents down and made it clear if his brother came out they were going to be accepting and kind, or they would lose contact with both sons. Apparently it took a lot of threats, but he managed to convince his parents not to be dicks when his brother came out. His bro doesn't know. His brother has told me that when he gathered the family around and told them he's gay, my BF just deadpan shocker. Story 2. My mom using her emergency key to come into my house uninvited when I was at work, and leaving a note on my dining table complaining about the mess. I told her that unless there was an actual emergency, she had no business being in my house when I wasn't there, and certainly not to complain about the state of my house. My mess, my business. And if she would ever pull a stunt like that again, I would either want the key back or change the locks. Fortunately, she listened. When I moved house, I gave an emergency key to a friend, so she hasn't got one since the early 2000s. Story 3. From 15 or 16 years old, my mom always thought I was doing drugs and made me do regular drug tests. I was not doing drugs and had even been honest with her and admitted that few of my friends smoked weed sometimes, while I choose not to after trying it once. It was the truth, but she never believed me. Having to do these drug tests was humiliating. Why couldn't she believe me? I could have lied, but I didn't. She never did this with my siblings, BTU, although she knew my older sibling had a history of trying weed and cocaine occasionally. When I was 17, she and my stepdad moved abroad for 6 months, and on my 18th birthday, she made a surprise visit ... with another drug test for me to do. The results would have been negative like on all the other tests I'd done over the last few years. I just said no straight to her face. Like, you can't make me do these anymore. And of course she couldn't make me do it cause now I was autonomous. It still felt so humiliating and uncalled for. I remember how my heart sank in a feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. She is manipulative. Even narcissistic. I was kind of scapegoated in my upbringing, and this is just one story of many that reflects it. I've not taken her shit since my 18th birthday, proud yet thankful to say, although this was not the end of her degradeful behavior towards me. Story 4. I am pretty sure my mother-in-law did this to my nephew. Poor kid had it rough. Both parents passed before he turned 18. He got stuck living with his grandmother. All was great at first. He was the favorite grandchild. After all, firstborn and male, she adored him. Until he started to grow up and his worldview did not match that of the crotchety old bat. So he finished high school. Grandma didn't want him to move out. She demanded he scrap all plans of college and get a local job and continue to live with her. Use the college fund his parents left him to make some repairs around the house. He asked my husband and I what we thought. We told him to do what he wanted to do. Don't just do as told. So he says he wants to take the money his parents left for his education and use it to go to school. We told him that if that is what he wanted, then don't let anyone stop him. We helped him with the application process and he got accepted to a school on the other side of the state. Grandma was fucking furious with him and with us. He packs up, ready for school. Dragon Lady has cooled her heels. She has decided that an education will serve him well. He asks if she can keep his dog while he is away. Dorm does not allow pets. Grandma agrees to take care of the dog. She understands the importance of the dog. It was one of the last gifts her daughter had given him before passing, so to her it was like a link to her. He thanks grandmother and is on his way. About 2 months pass. He comes home for Thanksgiving, asks where his dog was at. Grandma said it died and she had someone bury it. He asked where the grave was. She claims to not remember. He stormed out and did not speak to her for 2 years. He only speaks to her now because he feels his mother would want him to have a relationship with her mother. I keep telling him that if his mother knew how she treated him after her passing, she would beat the hell out of her. As for the dog, my husband and I believe she either gave it away or sold it. We do not believe that it died, and we definitely don't believe she killed it. She is an evil cunt, but she isn't the type to harm animals, just people. Story 5. T took me 9 years of being moved out and miscarriage to finally snap and tell my parents to stop talking about my body and how fat I was. I was 7 months post-miscarriage and still not fully back to normal when they made the final comment. It definitely didn't help how close I was to what was supposed to be my due date. I just snapped and had a rage tantrum where I yelled horrible things at them. They haven't said anything since. Story 6. My sister has ADHD, and growing up, they used up all their patience on her and then expected me to be perfect. It's so frustrating to watch her get older and have them to continue to make excuses for her behavior, which never would have flown if I did the same thing at that age. For instance, one example of far too many, when I was doing my final exams at high school, my sister, who was 14, so old enough to know better, would make so much noise when I was studying, and if I genuinely was polite. We always walk on eggshells around her, told her to be quiet so I could concentrate. We have a small house and you can heat everything. She'd start screaming, and then my mom would tell me off for provoking her and say, I know you have exams, but try to be the bigger person. No allowances were made for me being tired or stressed. Now my sister is doing exams. She yells at us constantly. She does this all the time. Her behavior hasn't changed due to her exams and is just generally really rude, but my mom told me that I just have to suck it up ATM because my sister is doing exams and must be stressed. When I was younger, I really did try to be perfect, but now I just see how arbitrary the standards I was held to were. My parents only enforced rules with me because they knew I wouldn't throw a tantrum and make the household miserable when they did. But my mom would let my sister get away with murder if it made her life easier. Story 7. Dawn. Thinking that something I do once or twice is something I do all the time and constantly complaining about it. I remember the summer of my 19 I went to 2 concerts with friends. It was the first time in my life I was going to concerts. I don't go to many of them because my friends don't have the same taste of music and I don't want to go alone. For years, my parents made passing comments about how I go to concerts too often. I don't even know what's wrong about going to concerts. I'm in my 30s and still, if I mention going to a concert, a festival, a show, etc., which happens less than once a month, my parents will make a passing comment about how I go out too much and need to stay at home more often. I don't even live with them, and I'm pretty much an introverted homebody who is happy to be an introverted homebody. No amount of showing them my calendar will convince them that I don't go out too often. Story 8. Years ago, my brother was having a really hard time after college getting a job and getting out of my parents' house. And I knew he was trying and wanted to. But he was driving my dad insane. I lived out of state and came to visit for a couple weeks. He was driving me nuts with comments about my brother, and I ended up snapping on him and yelling at him. He got into my face, and I told him that I don't want to fight, but one of us is about 25 and the other is about 50. So if I were him, I wouldn't want to fight either. I left the house for a couple hours and came back. He was a little moody for a day or so before I flew back, and I heard that he gave my brother a little more space after that. Story 9. I have 3 all related to pets. I had a fish when I was a kid. I think I named it Princess or something. I was 7. I loved that fish. I had a friend over one day and I showed her my fish. When my friend left, my fish was gone. It wasn't until years later my parents told me my fish had died. They flushed it down the toilet. When my sister's fish died, they allowed her to bury it. When I was older, I got a guinea pig. I named mine Matilda after the movie. I loved him. He got sick one winter and died. My parents tossed him in the trash and I didn't get to say goodbye. When my sister's guinea pig died, they let her bury him. They then got her another one. I asked for another one because I loved guinea pigs, but no. I had a pug named Max. We got him when I was 10. We had to put him down when I was 21. I was absolutely devastated because Max got me through so much. I was in the room with him when he died. My parents forced me to go to work the next day and I was an absolute mess. We were told Max was being cremated, so I assumed I'd receive his ashes or at least get to spread them. It had been a while, so I asked my parents where Max was. They stated someone, a complete fucking stranger, spread his ashes for us. I was pissed. I've never let my parents forget any of these things. Story 10. Them acting like children. And when I tell them they're going to mess something up or hurt themselves, they ignore me and do the thing anyway, ending in the exact results I warned them about. I've started treating them like children. They screw up. I ask them, what did we learn? They mumble something that hardly scratches the surface of what they did wrong. And I explain to them in small words condescendingly, if need be, to get the point across that they put themselves in that position long before the accident happened, and that if they want to stay in one piece, they need to wise up. Now, if I see them messing around with something or doing things they know they aren't supposed to do, I don't even bother warning them anymore. I let them suffer the consequences of their actions and let them figure out how to unfuck themselves. I put my headphones on, or put earplugs in so that I remain unbothered by their stupid choices. I also walk away from conversations if I need to. For example, when my mother whines about my father, I walk away while reminding her that I am not a marriage counselor or a therapist. They need both, but refuse to seek professional help. I'm currently the only one living at home who has ever been to therapy. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Have a story of your own? Comment it down below and perhaps you will be part of the next video.